Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here as the recording of us Thursday, May 1st, 2025, also known as the 36th anniversary of my former favorite theme park ever. Disney MGM Studios opened on this day in 1989. Hard to believe it's been a year since the 35th. And those ceremonies they have for today, will they be doing anything in the park today? Probably not. There will probably not be one shred of merchandise or anything even alluding to the fact that it is the anniversary of MGM Studios. Now, if you go to Hollywood Studios now, still a great place, but just a shell of what it once was. Love Hollywood, love the vibe of Hollywood, the lore of old Hollywood, and MGM was the first place that I experienced that before even going and visiting SoCal or even moving to California. So it holds a special place in my heart. There are still some remnants of the original MGM, which I will show a little bit of when I get in there. But I'm just going to pop in, meet up with a friend who also has a love of MGM. That's warm. That's really warm. I'm inviting you to join me. Let's have a Walt Disney World day. Join me, shall you? I-4 westbound, looking pretty smooth at this hour. About 10 a.m. right now. Mickey Power Pole, how you doing? And I say former favorite theme park because as much as I still enjoy Hollywood Studios, it is not the top pinnacle of my list anymore since they got rid of so many things at the studios. Streets of America, that was kind of the nail in the coffin, the icing on the cake when they got rid of Streets of America and Great Movie Ride. Well, Streets of America first, and then when Great Movie Ride went away, that's when I decided I can't even call this MGM Studios anymore. And that's when I mentally made the switch to calling it Hollywood Studios. Try to keep it old school today and show some stuff that was open in '89, but truth be told, not really a whole heck of a lot, if anything, that's left. Except structures. Long before the Skyliner was even an inkling in WDW's eye, this place existed. Oh, what a wonderful place it was, and still is, but was. We'll not be covering a lot of opening day attractions and or restaurants and things. I parked in 308. I'm just gonna walk it in. In fact, I'm thinking there might not be any opening day attractions left. Star Tours opened later in '89, towards the end of the year in '89. Yeah, I don't know if there is. Hollywood Tower, that came later. Even Indiana Jones was not opening day, as far as I can recollect. Also should be noted that this is a good to go day, no reservations needed. Not that you really even need reservations here anymore at WDW. They're pretty much always open across the board, always green for all four parks, 99.9% of the time. But today's a good to go day. No reason to open the My Disney Experience app and make a reservation on an anniversary of a theme park at Disney. What the heck? In fact, 9 days from this moment, one of my favorite restaurants that I always eat at, Mama Melrose, which is not an opening day, but opened a couple years after. I think it opened in 91-ish. It's closing forever. So I have booked a reservation for Mama Melrose. Even those reservations were wide open for the whole lunch bracket. From like 12 to 4, they were all open. I had no trouble getting a reservation for Mama Melrose, and the thing closes in a little more than a week, forever. There's a lot of good MGM stuff in there, so definitely want to showcase that in great detail. It'll most likely be my last time in there before it closes. Let's step back into some nostalgia. Showcase some things that are obviously were not here in '89. Also should mention, I was not here on the opening in '89. First time I ever arrived here was in 1991. My family and I moved here in '91, so the park had been open 2 years. That's when I really started getting to going into the parks a lot. Now we would come down here once a year on vacation, once every 2 years, and that kind of created developed my love of the Disney theme parks at a young age. So about once a year, once every 2 years, up until 91. You know, from the early 80s until 91. I was here pretty often, you know, once a year. But then after that, in 91, I started coming here on a very regular basis. And MGM Studios, now Hollywood Studios, was my favorite place. It was the first place that I had ever seen a tram tour. I had never been to Hollywood, never been to the real LA. Didn't know what a tram tour on a backlot was. That's when they had all the facades. They had the Ernest Saves Christmas house, the Golden Girls house, the Bulldog Cafe from Rocketeer. All that was torn down for the car stunt show years later. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that. It was the first time I got a behind-the-curtain peek at how movies were made. I was obsessed with this place. In fact, there is a good portion of why I moved to the real Hollywood because I fell in love with this place first and started to really research and have a fondness for SoCal and Hollywood Boulevard and the greater Hollywood, Los Angeles area because of this place and movies. And in a roundabout way, part of the reason I fell in love with this weird filmmaking that I do, which I guess you could call it that, picking up a camera and filming something, even though my stuff is definitely not, you know, I'm not Kubrick or Hitchcock by any means. But this place developed my enjoyment of picking up a camera and filming stuff, which is what I'm now doing for a living. So thank you, MGM Studios. Thank you. Right after walking in, there's 2 or 3 gift shops here along their Hollywood Boulevard. I'm noticing there is no anniversary merchandise. In fact, over here they do have this, which still has the Eiffel Tower on, which no longer exists. So I guess you could call that kind of a throwback to the old school merch. And this kind of reminds me, this coffee mug reminds me a little bit of the old MGM Studios shirt. They just changed it to Hollywood Studios. This right here has the Eiffel Tower on it. Goodness, but this right here is a little. We're going to be losing Muppets soon. We still have Gertie the dinosaur, which I just showed. There's a coffee mug of that, and there's also this little tumbler of Gertie as well. The shop still kind of has that old MGM vibe as well. In fact, there is a weather-worn, sun-bleached, even though it is way in the corner. Maybe you want to call it like heat lamp light bleached out Casablanca poster that's still over here, which probably was 89-ish. But when you peruse around, there is some pretty cool Hollywood Studios merch. But I even checked on the pins. There are no pins specifically for today for the anniversary whatsoever. I guess they didn't really celebrate the 36th anniversary. But there are a couple cool t-shirts, which I might at some point maybe buy one of the shirts. But yeah, there's no anniversary merch at all whatsoever. Not one shred of anything alluding to the anniversary that I found so far on Hollywood Boulevard. And maybe as I get deeper into the park, they'll have something, but nothing in the pin trading store, nothing in the gift shops along Hollywood Boulevard. There's a couple on either side as you're walking towards the Chinese Theater. But as the day goes on, I'll see what I can find and see if anyone acknowledges it whatsoever. I'm going to guess no, with the exception of one buddy who's showing up here in a little bit. Stop in Sid Cahuenga's right across from the crossroads of the world. It's used as a photo pass place now, but it has all these old autographs still in here. Park first originally, actually they've taken a lot of the autographs down, but they used to have a lot of autographs and signatures, like here's one here, and they would sell these, and then when it switched over from the selling store and they turned it into the photo pass place, they just left a lot of this stuff in here. But I've noticed a lot of stuff is gone over the years and rechanged. Used to be a signed Willy Wonka poster, old school Willy Wonka poster right here. That has been removed. Now there's a Winnie the Pooh one. But take a look at this. You got the Universal Monsters on Walt Disney World property. Isn't that very interesting? Universal property. Hitchcock would be proud. See, they just have like anything old Hollywood they would just have in here. But take a look at this. Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon signed this right up here, the old beach party. Now they just announced that they are going to be putting the new Little Mermaid stage show back in here. They used to be the Little Mermaid stage show. Now they're changing it a little bit. They're putting in the new version. It's confirmed. I thought maybe it wasn't going to happen because for a few years it was just it was announced it was going to happen and then no further announcements that it was confirmed. But now they got the little movable hedges out front and they've taken this down to put give a little TLC to the characters that were up there. And soon it'll happen. Breathe new life to this area back in here. I don't know what the future holds for this section, but right now it's you can see it's just kind of a a stagnant area. There is some stuff happening over there. But once Mermaid starts to rear its head back in here again, maybe that will be the kind of kickstart, the kick in the pants this area needs. Now, I don't know what the future is, but in my mind, I really wish, I do like Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway, but I wish it had gone in an area like that. I wish it had gone somewhere else other than Great Movie Ride, personally. For me, in my own opinion, getting rid of the Great Movie Ride was one of the biggest mistakes that the Disney parks ever made. What a classic. Wish it could have stuck around. Don't know why it left, but it's been erased from existence, and I'm eternally going to be sad about that. As I sit here, one of probably 3 people that I know that cherish this place as much as I do is arriving, wearing an appropriate t-shirt.
It is an appropriate t-shirt.
Michael Eisner.
There it is.
Lurking in the shadows. I can't even see Eisner, which is just how the Disney Corporation wants it to be now, currently.
Adam, everybody. Adam's back from LA.
It's the world of Micah.
It's me. Hello, welcome back.
I have an Eisner shirt. I wore to D23 one year. Yours is also, I thought about wearing mine, but then I started to think, I bet Micah's going to wear his.
I thought you were going to wear yours.
And I didn't want to be,
like,
and I have another MGM shirt, and I think we both have the same one.
Maybe.
And it's, your Eisner
you
shirt's
got that
different
one
than
for
mine.
me.
I should have worn my Eisner shirt now.
I almost wore my
Great
Pluto
Movie
Ride shirt, but
I was just talking about how Great Movie Ride was the nail in the coffin for this place.
Yes.
And the biggest mistake that Walt Disney World getting rid of something has ever made.
yeah,
Well,
I agree with that.
in the last 10 years, 20 years.
I agree with that. Yeah, there's no need for that. You could have put Mickey and Minnie somewhere
Right
else. Easily.
Here on the other side of this archway, it's changed a little bit, but there are some carvings and things that's still on it. But if you go on the other side of this archway, there was plenty of photos promoting the parks with Eisner, plenty of characters, Ninja Turtles, dinosaurs, Beauty and the Beast. What were some of the other characters that were in some of those original promos? I remember Dick Tracy,
Little Mermaid.
Rocketeer maybe?
I don't think they ever put him in those.
No promo stuff?
No, it was weird.
There is some Rocketeer stuff around the park too. There's a lot of Roger Rabbit stuff, a lot of Easter eggs of Roger Rabbit, and there's a couple, even a little quick service place that has a little Rocketeer nod with some Rocketeer little merchandise, not merchandise, but props that are kind of hidden around that a lot of people don't realize that are early MGM Studios days. You could call this close to an opening day attraction, because this was December of '89?
December of 90, I believe.
Of 90, okay. But it definitely was not opening day, but it gets a hard pass as an opening day attraction, because it's about the only thing that's still open that was close to an opening. Is there any opening day attractions here anymore?
Indiana Jones.
That was an opening day.
Indiana Jones wasn't
No,
opening?
it was like later in the year.
Wow.
I think we should look that up. We should fact check that. Hello. About a half hour until we're going to go to Mama Melrose. So we're going to peruse around some of the handprints over here in front of the recreated Chinese theater, just like the one on Hollywood Boulevard. The handprints are from 89 to 92, but there's a couple that go even before before 89 opening day, like Michael Landon here from Little House on the Prairie. His is pre-opening day. He did his handprints 1980, end of 1988, which is kind of interesting to see the handprints. Like here's a 91. Here's a 99, so that one kind of goes way past. Here's an opening year as well. This was actually on the 10th of May, 1989, right over here. And then you have Eddie Albert, which is 1990 here. You got Rick Moranis, which is 89. Oh, this is interesting. This is yesterday, 36 years ago. This would have been April 30th of 89.
Yeah.
So he signed that. Yeah, beforehand.
This is when they had them all on that footage. If you can see them driving down Hollywood on the Star Capade on those cars.
Muppet Vision didn't open until, I think, 91. Not an opening year attraction, Muppet Vision, but that'll be going away, and that'll be going away in the very, very near future. Made it over into Mama Mel. This might be my last time eating at Mama Melrose. I love this place. It closes in like 8 or 9 days, and I will be out of the country before the closing date. This is definitely old school MGM Studios era. Old school. All right, making our way in.
You're at Mama's favorite table.
Mama's favorite table?
Yeah.
This one? Is there a plaque or anything?
Well, it's because she wants to keep an eye on all of what's going on here. And you get to see them making pizza.
You get to see them making our
all
food.
the other yummy stuff.
All right, Mama's favorite table. I like that. Thanks for giving us the good seat. Honestly, it's kind of weird to think that this might be my last hurrah here at Mama Melrose. You think it'll be your last time here?
It might be.
It might end up being, right?
Yeah, because I'm also leaving the state of Florida too.
We're both leaving before the end of the end of closing of this.
Yep.
We've eaten here 917 times since the opening. Since we've been coming to the park since the opening. That is some quick service. Before I could even take a sip of the minestrone, the spaghetti and meatballs have showed up right there. It almost looks like Eisner's about to chow down on some of those delicious meatballs right there. Look at that. You know he ate in here at least once.
Oh yeah.
Right there, Eisner. Look at, he's just like going to town on the meatballs. Got Lou Ferrigno over here, the Incredible Hulk, and his. I think it's interesting is Lou's handprints are not in front of the Chinese theater. Even there's a photo of him getting his handprints done, which is kind of interesting, right?
There's a bad
Kate of Stars. Here's John Aston driving in front of Sid Cahuenga's, which I was at earlier. Here's Sandy Duncan. It'll be the last time I probably see this Sandy Duncan photo. It is the only photo I've ever seen in the park, current day, of Eisner right there with Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, 3PO, the Ewoks, and George Lucas right there. Take a look at this, Micah, because this will be the last time Eisner's face will be in. You'll see Eisner's face in this park.
You're right.
It's the only photo I've ever seen of him on property, current day. There it is. One last look at Mama Melrose. My last pop in and my last spaghetti and meatballs from Mama Melrose. I think Pizza Rizzo's is closing out on the same time as Muppet Vision, which I think closes. Got another month for Muppet Vision, so a little time on that. Backyard, everybody! We are now in the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. Opening year, not opening day, but opening year 89.
So this time when I say action, I need you to laugh, but not just a little giggle. I need a big, goofy belly laugh. Really keep it going. Don't stop until I yell cut. And I want you to try to be that one laugh that I hear above everybody else. Here we go. Action! That was amazing. I'm pretty sure there's a hyena somewhere over there. And then there's that guy right there. Come on, stand up. All by yourself. Ready? Go.
Salacious crowd. This is weird. They're completely omitting the fire truck explosion scene. They're just skipping the whole thing. Where the truck comes around and catches on fire.
It's just the scene. It's the scene. Great job, everybody. That's a wrap. Give it up for the casting crew.
All right, gonna start heading out now. One thing that was interesting about Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, a lot of stuff wasn't working at the beginning when Indy falls down off the rope, before the spikes come up and all that. The fire effect out of the ground wasn't working. And then at the very end, well, halfway through, when the truck catches on fire, that whole scene, they just skipped that whole scene, which was kind of strange, right?
Yeah, it seems like over the years they've edited and changed things.
It's not as good as it once was.
No.
It's still all right,
Yep.
but not as good as it once was.
Yeah, the finale with the explosions was kind of lackluster this time.
They didn't have the when the flames are on the ground.
Yeah.
Those weren't there either. But nonetheless, we still celebrated the 36th anniversary of this park. We might have been the only ones. I don't even know if anyone else knew that today was the anniversary.
No, the cast members that we talked to.
And none of them knew. None of the shows we saw or cast members we saw stated it. There was no signage. There was no merchandise. There was no acknowledgement. But we knew in our hearts. We knew. So a year ago, it was the 35th, we were over in the Beauty and the Beast Theater watching the 35th anniversary, the Muppets there. And then 6 years ago, we watched a parade
Oh man,
The parade.
the Indy fight.
And they had the Indy fight, which was cool.
And when that happened, me and you were both like, ah!
Yes. And then they also was the first time we saw the uniforms or the outfits that the cast members in Galaxy's Edge were gonna wear.
That's right.
That was pretty cool. Nonetheless, happy birthday, happy anniversary, Disney MGM Studios. I don't call it that anymore, but I'll call it that today.
Yeah, it's expected on a day like today.
Yeah.
The Hollywood that never was and always will be.
The vlog is over.